Hello, welcome to Lost and Found No More Secrets. My name is Heidi Billingsley Kyper, and I am the host of the show. I am a genetic genealogist with DNAngels. DNAngels is a dedicated nonprofit organization helping people to discover their biological truth. Whether they are adopted, an NPE, meaning not parent expected, donor conceived, or they just never knew who their biological parent is, we're there to help. Join us on today's episode as we explore the powerful journey of one of our very own clients, following their path from feeling lost to finally being found. Discover how they reclaim their sense of identity, proving that one sense of identity is more important than someone else's secrets. Hello, welcome to Lost and Found No More Secrets. My name is Heidi and I'm the host here. I am a genetic genealogist with DNAngels, and so is my co-host today, Laura Schultz. Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
Hi, Heidi.
Hi. We haven't had a donor conceived guest in a while.
I'm excited.
I'm excited about it. So her story is that she knew that her parents needed the assistance of IVF to get pregnant, but she assumed that they used her father's sperm. So I believe it was last November, she got an Ancestry DNA, or an Ancestry DNA test for Christmas, and she was super excited about it. Actually, she got the test in November so she could get the results by Christmas and be able to share with her family her ethnicity and all the really cool stuff. So she went and told her parents, I'm super excited. Guess what I did? Well, of course, her parents were a little nervous because they had a secret. And so what happened was her dad pulled her aside. Our client is Alex, and Alex's dad pulled her aside and told her, hey, there's a possibility I might not be your biological dad. Well, it blew up. Her mom's not a happy camper, and they actually end up getting divorced.
It's the gift that keeps giving, right? Jeez.
So let's bring up Alex to the show now and give her a warm welcome.
Hey,
hi, Alex. How
Hi,
are you?
all. I'm good. It's nice to meet both of you. I'm
nice
really excited to be here.
Yeah. So we found each other on TikTok, I believe.
Correct? Yes, we
Tell
did indeed.
How did we get connected?
Yeah. So after all of the craziness with the 23andMe debacle happened for me, I posted a TikTok. There was that viral thing going around where the Susie stitch. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there was a clip of a girl saying, oh, it's so crazy. I don't like store-bought pesto. And people were stitching it and saying, oh, you know what else is crazy? And dropping these huge bombs about their life. And I made one in response. And I said, you know what else is crazy? Finding out from 23andMe that you have siblings you went to high school with. And it took off, and
that's hard to beat.
yes. And a lot of people started tagging DNAngels and were saying, like, you should connect with them. Laura reached out to me, and things took off from there, and you all ended up helping me find out who my biological father is.
So for clarification, Laura Olmsted, she's our founder and executive director, and we work all the donor conceived cases together, and oftentimes we love them so much. It's our favorite type of case. We love finding all moms and dads, but that's our favorite type of case. So we oftentimes tag up on those. And so Laura grabbed me and she showed me your TikTok and she's like, let's go find us a donor.
And it took you no time out. You all were absolutely amazing. So quick.
Yeah, we're pretty fast. Especially together. So, and I remember you had been trying on your own to figure it out, but you had a few stumbling blocks. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah. I was trying on my own, but there were it's still a little complicated for me to try to explain, but there were some last name changes by my biological father's family that made the tree like seem really disjointed. And that's where I was getting caught up, and you all were able to kind of put that piece together for me, which really solved all of it.
Right. So let's back up to you're gifted you started out with 23andMe, and then you did an ancestry test. So let's back up to you get the test and you announce to your parents, hey.
Yeah. So I had actually been asking for 23andMe or Ancestry for quite some time, because my birth certificate father, his family background and heritage was kind of iffy. We weren't really sure. We thought we might be German. We thought we might be French. We were totally unsure. So I was asking for it over and over again from my parents for Christmas every year and never got it. I thought that was because it's kind of expensive. So I just kind of put that off as, they don't want to do that right now. It's too expensive for a gift, or maybe they feel weird about sharing my DNA, whatever the reasons may be. But my boyfriend, who I've now been with for almost 6 years, had heard me saying every year that I wanted it, and he got it for me in 2023. It came in the mail, and they don't do discreet packaging. So I was working from home and I got the mail and I saw what it was in November. So we just decided, the two of us, he's like, okay, well, if you take it now, your results will come in by Christmas, and then we can like share it with your parents. It'll be so exciting. So I spit in the tube and mailed it off. And I did have my results by Christmas.
So you told your parents, hey, that's what I did.
Yeah, I called my parents, not even just to tell them about that, but we were having another conversation, and I didn't know it was so important. So I really quickly just dropped that into the conversation and said, oh my gosh, I'll have my results by Christmas. I'm so excited. My parents live in a different state than me, and I visited them probably a week after sharing that, because it was Thanksgiving time. My boyfriend couldn't come with me, so I was actually at their house alone. And I was working from home one day, and my dad also works from home. And he came into the room where I was working and said, can I talk to you for a second? I was like, yeah, sure. I have a few minutes before my next meeting. And he sat down with me. And
was your heart in that moment like, what is going on here? Is that normal for your dad to do that?
Not normal at all. Yeah. So I definitely
something big was happening.
Yes, I knew it was something big, but I honestly would have never guessed this. Like, truly, they had been so open with me about their challenges getting pregnant that I felt like I had the whole truth. So this just wasn't even conceivable to me. And he sat down at the table, and I don't even remember every detail of the conversation, because as soon as the first sentence came out of his mouth, I think I like blacked out. Like, it was so shocking, and I knew where it was going that I was hardly there. But he said, we used sperm mixing to have you. You know how we always said we did IVF? We used sperm mixing. And then he quickly followed it with, but I'm still your dad, and I knew that you wouldn't think it's a big deal. I knew you wouldn't think it's a big deal. Your mom thinks that it's a big deal. I knew you wouldn't think it was. And then he said, and just please don't.
If I was you, I would still be like sperm mixing. So I wouldn't listen to the rest. I would just.
Yes. I had never heard of that. I had no idea what that meant. I was so, I think, shocked in the moment that I was just being agreeable. Like, also to put someone on the spot like that, to say, like, I knew you wouldn't feel like it's a big deal. So I felt pressured to say, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. He then said, like, please don't tell your mom, because she wants us to have this discussion later as a family. And that is when he left the room. And so he dropped the bomb, unburdened himself. And then I just started Googling. I had no idea what sperm mixing was, and I went down a huge rabbit hole after that.
Did you start to look at your dad like, do I look like him? Were you trying to like find features of yourself in him? Did you ever suspect that there was a chance that he wasn't?
So this is so funny. In retrospect, I think about this a lot, but I have always felt like I don't resemble my dad or his side of the family. And I have some like pretty, like, it's hard to see on camera, but I do have some pretty prominent like facial characteristics that I do not share with anyone in my mom's side of the family or my birth certificate dad's side of the family. I'd always grown up saying, and you know how when you're young, you have so many insecurities. My nose was a huge one. Like, it's very unique. I grew up always saying, like, I just want a nose job. I just want a nose job. I don't know why I don't look like the rest of our family. So I had made these comments my whole life. I have really curly hair. I have really long arms and legs. No one in my family has the same body type as me. Like, I just looked different. And I always commented on it, but never put two and two together. But I think that there's this intuitive part of you that kind of knows, like, why did I want this 23andMe test so bad for my whole, like, it's just interesting. I think things happened how they should. Yeah, I think I always kind of knew.
Do you have siblings?
So, well, no,
Okay.
no.
With the family you grew up with?
Yes, yeah. In my growing up family, no, I was an only child. I had foster siblings growing up,
Oh, awesome.
because my parents really wanted more kids, but no biological siblings in my home with me growing up.
So you're at the computer and you are Googling sperm mixing.
Yes, I am. So as one does when Googling sperm mixing, I was on like every large fertility website. I went on to Reddit, and actually Reddit was extremely helpful. I found someone who had a very similar experience. Like, it looked like I could have written that post on Reddit myself.
Oh, wow.
Someone who said that they did 23andMe, got results. Their parents were like, well, we did sperm mixing, so we don't know. And that's when I started to really learn about like the ethical components of donor conception. I'd never, obviously, as someone who didn't know they were donor conceived, I'd never thought about it before. But one of the first things that came up when I looked up sperm mixing was that it was used a lot in the 80s and 90s, but that most clinics don't practice it anymore because of like the ethical implications. Because, you know, just mixing the sperm to give a birth certificate father peace of mind that maybe the child is theirs, even though it's extremely unlikely, is not a good enough reason to have a kid not know their like genetic and family history. So it was really surprising to learn about all of that.
It sounds like you've really educated yourself about.
I'm trying.
You follow Laura High?
I do. I do. She's fantastic.
She's
great.
She is great.
Yeah, there's a whole world of humans who have a lot of great content on the topic. And I've definitely kind of, I've taken a big deep dive into a lot of it. Just for my own like educational purposes, but also to like find community, because this experience can feel so honestly lonely. And yeah, it's been really helpful to find people like Laura.
Right. There's also We Are Donor Conceived. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
You have to join that one. That's a great one.
I will, 100%.
Great community for donor conceived people. You even have to prove that you're donor conceived. It's a very private group. You have to send in like forms saying that, you know, to prove that you are donor conceived.
Wow.
I think that you'd enjoy it. So how does mom find out? Let's
Yeah. So my dad shared this with me, like I said, in a way that like made me really angry for a while. In full transparency, I will get into this later on as we talk about more things, but I like something I've been trying to remind myself of, and I think a lot of us who are NPEs can remind ourselves of, is that we don't need to protect the image of our parents. We can send them love and have empathy and sympathy for like how they went about this situation. But I'm trying to learn that I don't need to protect that image. So just sharing how my dad shared that with me is big for me. Because at first I didn't want people to know or think badly of him, because how he did share that information with me was just not good. But eventually, while I was staying with my parents over Thanksgiving, after I was deep in the Google rabbit hole, Reddit rabbit hole of sperm mixing, I was communicating with my dad via text while staying in the house saying, hey, can we please talk to mom about this? Like, I'm feeling very guilty because I'm very close with my mom. And it was just getting too hard for me to be around and not have had the discussion. So we sat down as a family and talked about it. And I pretended that I hadn't already known.
Mm.
And my mom did an amazing job sharing it with me. It was probably, you know, the way that if it was the first time I was hearing it, it would have been a really, although too late, healthy way for it to be shared. She gave me all sorts of information about the donor, anything she could remember, offered to help me meet him if that's what I wanted, or meet siblings if I had them, call her doctor to get medical records. She was very, very open and helpful. She did end up finding out that he told me, that my dad told me without her first. And she was super heartbroken, which absolutely understandable. That's huge news.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, you know, relationships are very complicated. And I don't think that they separated like that happened and that caused their separation. That's the main thing, but it was really big. And I think that happening broke a lot of trust between them, and yeah, they're not together anymore. So not only did I have my, I don't know who, like knowing who I am kind of exploded in my face when I took the 23andMe test, but like my entire family structure completely changed after and because of this news too. So yeah, my life has really been flipped upside down since I got these results.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
That's why you need community. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's also a DCP data. Have you heard of that? DCP
No, I
data?
haven't.
You need to look into that too. That's another.
I'm going to email you after this and ask you to write all this down.
Please do. Because you can connect with the people in your, if you have a sibling pod, which I can't remember. You do have donor siblings, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Have you connected with them?
I have connected. So it's a little complicated and I won't get into the weeds, and I don't want to like disclose personal information because they are trying to remain like pretty private about all of this. But I will say that a really interesting part of my story is that if my sibling, I'm just going to call her Kate, that's not her name.
Okay.
If Kate hadn't shown up when I got my 23andMe results back, I wouldn't have known I was from a donor because no close relative showed up on the paternal side. And my genetic, like my heritage, showed up the way we thought my birth certificate dads would have.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I'm super grateful she showed up. And also when she appeared, my jaw was on the floor because I immediately knew her name. And her last name is a really prominent one in my area. I went to middle and elementary school with her cousins. I went to high school with her.
Wow.
We were there at the same time.
Well,
and
tell me that you at least got along. Were you friends?
We weren't friends. We were in different friend groups. I went to a huge high school, but like if I saw her out in public, we would have probably like been like, oh hey.
You look like her?
So it's so funny. I see the resemblance, but it's a very nature versus nurture situation. Like I'm a lot more quirky and artsy, and she's very like traditionally beautiful. Like, yeah, just we look different, but you can see there's a resemblance.
Oh, wow.
She and her full sister, who is my half sister. So yes, I know it's complicated. I went to high school with both of them. They both look pretty similar to one another. But yeah, we all look like we're related, but I don't think if you saw us walking down the street, you'd be like, oh, those are siblings. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't have been obvious to us if we were close in high school, like just based on appearance. But we went to the same high school. It was absolutely wild to see her name come up.
Okay. Are they donor conceived also, or is it their dad's your dad?
They're donor conceived.
Donor conceived. Okay.
Yeah.
So you reach out to Kate.
Yes.
Is that what we're calling her, Kate?
Yeah, we'll call her Kate.
Kate. And you say, how are we have siblings?
Yes. So her name popped up. I was gobsmacked, floored, immediately was like, because I forgot to add this in too, but our grandparents are friends and like used to go camping together all the time. Our lives intersected at so many points. Wow. And it is just wild that we were not close friends or like, more intertwined. But yeah, so immediately like saw the connection, and it was around the holidays, like I said, around Christmas time that I got this result. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to wait a little bit till after the holidays are over to reach out, just because this might be really overwhelming to receive, like when you're with a bunch of family or friends around Christmas, New Year's. And within a few days, she actually deleted her profile. And I was like, oh no, like, what am I going to do? I had recently deleted my Facebook from high school that had her as a friend already.
Oh no.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to wait till after New Year's, and then I'm just going to reach out on Facebook and see what happens. And I did. And I sent her a message and said, you know, I'm really wanting to connect with you. Here's my phone number. Here's my email, and the door's open if you want to talk. And I'm really fortunate that she did. We talked on the phone for like a few hours, and it was great. We have a lot of really weird things in common.
Did she know that she was donor conceived?
No,
she did not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was she shocked?
She had suspected something was up because she did 23andMe years ago, and her results came up weird and were not showing her dad's side of the family. But when she asked her parents about it, it didn't go well, and she wasn't given any good answers. So she didn't have any idea about being donor conceived, but thought something was funky. And then my appearance on the family tree kind of confirmed, like solidified to her that like things were not as they seemed. Yeah.
When she saw you, is that why she just deleted it? So she didn't have to deal with it at the time. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And which I get it. Yeah. That's so overwhelming. So we since then have connected, and we text sometimes. We haven't met in person yet, but I hope that happens at some point. I'm sure it will.
Sure. So Laura and I are able to find your sperm donor. I remember his picture, and I remember his occupation. What was that like and I know how we are, like we are like,
oh my gosh, but you're amazing.
Put on your seatbelt because that is a lot of information.
No, it was fantastic. I feel like, I mean, I had been like in my head concocting like what this guy looked like, what he did, like what he does now. Does he have a fan? I had been dreaming it all up in my head, trying to figure it out. And as soon as you sent me his picture, I was like, holy crap. Because I think you found one from elementary school, and it looked so much like me in elementary school.
Wow.
And it was mind blowing. And
I remember you saying that, except you used a different word than crap.
Oh yeah,
I remember you were
I'm really censoring myself for all of us right now.
Thank you.
But yes, I was shocked. I like to consider myself a pretty good sleuth. And I did find his Facebook after you all found everything else about him. And it's so wild. One of the first pictures that comes up on his Facebook is him playing guitar and singing. And I play guitar and sing.
Gosh.
Oh, wow.
And he has the same nose as me. He did this to me. So I like
your nose.
Oh, thank you. But it just blew my mind. Like, just to see that person who is my biological father playing music on a stage, and like I do, like no one in my family does that but me.
Oh my!
And seeing that was like, that's definitely the guy. Like how can you doubt the science? But any doubt that I had, I saw that and was like, oh my God, like
that's for sure. Yeah.
Now, does he have a family?
Yeah. So he, from my sleuthing, it appears that he is divorced.
Okay, Aaron Brockovich, give us a scoop.
It appears that he's divorced, but he does have a son who would be my brother, who is, I think, like 6 years younger than me. So it appears that like they're close. But yeah, so it's just the two of them at this point. And it is so funny. The brother has the same hair as me, like this crazy curly hair. I've stalked them both so much. Someday they'll probably know
it's
that.
Not stalking, it's investigation.
I've investigated them so deeply.
Or that would mean Heidi and I are also stalkers, but
important research.
It is.
How far I can't remember the proximity and how far you and the donor live from each other.
Oh my God. So I now live in Vermont. So far away from Ohio, where I grew up. But if I were back in my hometown, where I lived until college, we would live 15 minutes from each other.
Really?
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you able to tell Kate the news? Or
yes.
What did she say?
Oh, she was pretty shocked as well. How fast you all found everything, because she is very similar to me. She loves to like investigate and research. So she had been doing digging herself. We had been constructing trees together on Ancestry. So how quickly you guys found him shocked her. And then when we were looking at pictures of him, she was like, oh my gosh, like the resemblance is totally there. She and her sister, well, my other sister, who I've never met, look very similar to the donor's son, who he raised. Very, very similar. Yeah. So it was just absolutely wild. She was shocked.
Is Kate still in Ohio?
Yes.
So she probably is close to the donor.
Yes. I'll bet within half an hour. Yeah.
Is your other sister older or younger than?
Same age as me.
Oh, wow. But she went to a different high school than you?
No, she went to my high school.
Oh,
she just doesn't want, she removed her information from 23andMe a few years ago when the first set of confusion for she and Kate happened. So she doesn't know about me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you friends with her in high school?
Actually, no. Like it was one of those things where we knew each other. And if I saw her on the street, of course I'd say hi, but we weren't in the same friend group. So yeah, we knew each other, but weren't close.
Good thing there were no boys that you could have dated, right?
That's what my mom and I were both like, ooh, that was narrowly avoided. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know that Laura and I gave you contact information, a letter, like a template letter on best practice for reaching out. What have you done with that, Alex?
Yeah. So first of all, that template is so helpful. That was just a great tool for me. I very recently, in the last week, actually reached out to the donor on Facebook, because as I said, I sleuthed and found it. Unfortunately, so I did use your template, which was fantastic, like I said, but I sent the message and then got the notification that he has privacy settings on his account, so he can't receive messages from anyone that's not a friend. So I did yesterday actually write out everything in letter format. So right now I'm just kind of debating on whether or not I want to mail him something, because I do have his address, or if I want to friend him and then send the message and maybe in the message say like, you don't need to keep me as a friend, but I wanted to communicate this with you. Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to mention that we have is I don't think we had this service whenever Laura and I solved your case, but we have a liaison service that if you are just scared to death to reach out to him, and the girls on our liaison team are search angels themselves.
Wow.
And they're so, I don't have it in me. I wish I had that gift. I don't have it in me.
Good.
But they're so good at, leaving the voicemail that gets them.
Wow.
That puts them in a way that's disarming, that gets them to the donor to call them back. And they're able to explain, well, we know this to be the science behind it is, this, and explain the DNA aspect of it. So just keep that in mind.
I will.
If your letter, if you don't get a response to your letter, or if you're just terrified, just reach out to me in your client room, and I'll get the ball rolling on that if you decide to.
Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alex, what an incredible story you have.
I know.
So glad
that all over the place. So thank you for listening.
So glad that our paths crossed.
You'll have to do a recap.
Absolutely.
You'll have to come back next season, and maybe the donor will be super cool and come on with you.
We'll play a show for you.
There you go.
You never know. Okay, so before you leave, I just want you to give some advice to those people that just got their rug, taken out from underneath their feet, found out their donor conceived, and just lost. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I think that what I really needed someone to say to me at the beginning of all of this is that you should hold space for every feeling that comes up,
Mm.
because you're going to feel all of them. There will be days where you'll think, oh, this isn't a big deal. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. And then it will hit you like a ton of bricks and you'll feel sad. There's a total grief period also of feeling like you've lost something, maybe even yourself. And I just think knowing that you're allowed to hold all of those feelings, you don't need to pick one and you don't need to stick with it, is really important. Right. And I also, this is something my therapist has reminded me of, but just understanding nuance and knowing that, you know, we want to put things in categories and we want to think of people as all good or all bad. And sometimes they're a mix of both. And I think that that's really important when we think about our birth certificate parents and how they handle these situations. I really wanted to categorize, in all transparency, my dad as a bad person. I just wanted somewhere to place my blame. But you know, at the end of the day, I've realized like that's just not the case. There's a lot more nuance to this. And I'm allowed to feel angry, but also love someone. And it takes a while to process these things. So to try to not block yourself off into thinking of things as just black and white, and get support also. Therapy's great. But yeah, nuance. It's important.
Excellent. Excellent advice.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I've been thinking about it a lot, as you probably could tell.
Can you write that down and email it to me? I need to share that with my donor
rewind and just jot it all down.
Yes. We need a banner at the bottom with exactly what you just said. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alex, for agreeing to be a guest on our show. We've really enjoyed our time with you, and keep us posted. I would love to hear the updates. Sure. If you do get a response back from your donor or you need our help, just reach out to us. We'll be there for you.
Thank you all so much for the work you do. It was great to speak with you.
You're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome. Talk soon.
Bye. I will.
Bye, Alex.
Bye. Wow. She's
a fantastic guest.
She has her head on better than anyone. My goodness.
Right. Yeah.
What a good spokesperson for that community. Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. She's amazing. That's the thing about the sisters in high school. That's got to be really hard, you know?
I know.
Knowing someone.
She I don't know exactly her age, but she handles herself with such grace and maturity throughout.
She absolutely is a delight too. And I'm hoping that she does get in touch with her biological father, because it seems like that they do have a lot in common. So
I know. They could write music together. How cool would that be?
Mom to him. No, just kidding.
Right. She could be single and ready to mingle. You never know.
Who knows? But who knows? She was a delight. And this is a treat to have her to steer other clients to watch this and see how, how the feelings go. Because I think if you haven't experienced it, you really don't know, right? So as with anything.
That's a big why we do the show, is to let people, that are in similar situations know, A, they're not alone, and B, to see somebody that's already walked through the journey and
absolutely
how they handled it and what worked for them. So
I
think we're doing really great things.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, this wraps up the show. Our timing is out. Thank you for being my co-host. And come watch next Thursday. We drop an episode every Thursday. If you could please hit subscribe and comment and like on this video, we'd really appreciate it. Goodbye, guys. Be blessed.
Bye.